So, welcome everyone to this session about meditation. So, the idea is to have a group which is more on a weekly basis to start with, and then slowly move it into a daily routine for ourselves. And the practice is eventually that the person should be able to continue their own practice themselves and lead themselves. That's the ultimate aim of life. Uh, so yeah, why? I'll just give you a bit of background rather than because this journey meditation itself is like reducing rather than accumulating is the process. So it's to slowly settle in with yourself. That's the journey we are in. So there's no rush, there's no right, wrong. All these mental blocks is the bigger problem than so it's more of a process of removal rather than reaching somewhere or doing something. So ultimately, when we are able to remove everything, which is not us, we are in meditation. So yeah, it's not technique, it's not uh, something to achieve, something to look forward to. Yeah, it's just that being of us is in meditation, the core of us. So, so I'd like to, so the practice itself is not like a big deal. We will take it gradually, but more like the philosophy and the reasoning and why kind of a bit of my story also into the meditation would help. Meditation from where I come from, where, like I'm born in a Christian family, we had a very Western way of mindset of all these are ancient things and not important. And we went with the Jesus story and all that creation story. So somewhere along life was looking like more like a race was how in India it was very hard to develop business, like develop a life. And I had to really work hard, study hard. It's the kind of lifestyle we all have it in India. So I became engineer, then started a business, and all that journey. Somewhere along the way, we generally in this rush of life we lose ourselves. So for me also, it was something outside has to happen for the happiness within became my goal. And that brought with it the anger, the uncertainty, the fear. So we start to layer ourselves like one layer after another. So the core of inside is starting to feel less and less connected. So, and what happened eventually, like through my business failure and life challenges, I started to connect back. I was so surprised how what yoga was is the biggest surprise I got. Is I used to think yoga is more like exercise, and then I came to understand yoga means union. And what is it union about? So it was a very like a there is so much of wisdom in Indian spirituality that I could then slowly get into understanding, because I think no other country has really explored the inner well-being as much as India has, because India had long time back got lot of wealth, and it was kind of even before the British came, it had 28% of the world GDP, and it was quite rich nation because of mainly it had a lot of resources. It had big five rivers of, I think that delta region is one of the world's best like nutritive for all type of agricultures. So it was a very rich nation with all weathers and different ethnicity, people from all place world. And some of the universities at that time, people used to have to come like world class university. People have to study in Burma and other places before they can even come to India for getting into those universities. So the spirituality has been explored so much in detail, unlike many other places. So the essence is that humans have a potency of reprogramming themselves. That's at the core of it. We are God by itself. Like we have the ability, because we are working with the fabric of the same universe, we have the potentiality of creating the reality we want. That's so powerful, though, so enormous, kind of a responsibility as well as a blessing. But if it is, it's us how to use that potentiality. That not every animal in this planet has that wisdom and capacity to manifest their future as much as the capacity, because we have the ability to even observe our own thought and reprogram ourselves. The like imagine an AI robot having its own programming ability. So we are of that level. So that just gives them the whole freedom of being in that beingness of the life they want to live. So that's the ultimate reality. Through this journey, we basically are exploring into the core, because from the childhood, our core has been packaged by our parents, our experience, a social system which is not aligned with nature, which is not aligned with the creation by itself. Like, say, in nature, if you observe, the fruits and all the things are in plentiful. Like all birds, they just take, there's no boundaries of countries, there's no house boundaries, there's no systems. So all those creates those barriers. As we progress in our life, we are meant to do something. We are meant to hide some emotions. We are meant to behave sexually in different ways. We are not meant to, for example, even yawning, farting. All these are human requirement of as similar to hunger. So in a meditation, we are wanting to bring that humanness and the coreness in us, and everything is welcome. All emotion, all experiences, all us cannot be. If any part of us is just left hidden, we can't be us. So even Ayurveda, because I've studied Ayurveda, like this life journey had helped me to understand meditation from a very broad perspective of all the modalities India has, like in many different ways, not to the depth, but more to the understanding of all this, how they all fit in. So everything is in the universe is considered to be created from these five elements. So in this meditation, what we are trying to do is more like unraveling ourselves. And when we sit, the aim is to be an observer. So we, as human, or that potentiality, is just an observer, and all that which goes around it is all the things we have put on to ourselves, including our body, including our emotion, including our thoughts. So that deep state where we have the neutrality with everything is the ultimate goal. It's called the samadhi, or uh, the essence we can reach. We have the potentiality to reach within. It just makes it socially very impossible and very hard for us to reach that, because we have to question everything. We have to uh, we create a lot of imbalances. But those people who are able to stick with that core belief of the nature within us, the sound, yeah, if they can bring that voice stronger and stronger, develop that, and create disciplines which can maintain that, and some like a tribe or cohort to nourish that. So all that is a challenge. So, but we'll just through these experiences go uh, whatever state we can in that meditation. So yeah, so I think yeah, 10 minutes. Um, So meditation is, yeah, unraveling ourselves. Yeah, that's the ultimate. So meditation comes from word meditate is to kind of bring that attention and focus. And in Indian word, it's called dhyana. Dhyana is again uh, like the be a witness of everything. So we really the happiness is coming from within us. uh, so we should be able to sit under a tree, like as Buddha was, and be happy and be fulfilled, be satisfied, be everything except like when we feel hunger or anything, but as an animal nature to take care of our body. Apart from that, we should be satisfied in all respect in that space. And then it is our wishful thinking or mindful thinking where we want to act. That is the capacity, not reactive so much, but proactively. So let's experience there are many ways of meditating. So one of the ways, we start with a very subtle, like a very gross way of meditating. So where we have to, because we are very, we don't want to start away very seriously. I will take you through a, just imagine it's like a journey, just have fun. So I want to bring the element of fun as well and acceptance. So those are the core things. So we don't want to make it any more complicated, and just sit with ourselves. So there's no instruction of how it has to be. Just feel that understanding of the greatness of what a human is. Just sit with that feeling and the blessing of being in this planet. Just let everything be as it is, as it's meant to be. Take some deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. With every breath, release the stress in your face, in your shoulders, in your stomach, chest, legs, arms, and just today 15 minutes sit with the realization. Oh. Mm, and slowly come back to the awareness. No? The first stage is to be aware of people say everything around you and all that. I would say the first thing is to be aware of the boredom or the confusion, the questions, the thoughts, everything. Like our mind is so like when we start, it's like when you get a brand new TV, it doesn't have the right channels tuned in. So just like that noise of everything. So that has to be welcomed. So boredom is a very important part of a self journey. So that once you sit more and more comfortably in that state of not clear, not sure, uh, and then the clarity starts to develop from there to be able to observe everything else. So, because like everything in the universe, everything is starting, creating, and then finishing, destroying, or going into the next thing. So it's just like creation, manifestation. So in Indian, there is Brahma, which is the creator energy, Vishnu, which is the maintainer, and Shiva, which is the destroyer. So whether it's thoughts, whether it's feelings, whether every emotion, every experience around us, it's all following through that impermanence, anicca, which is in Buddhist philosophy. So, uh, yeah, that's I didn't get into the question, but definitely, yeah, bring out if you have any questions to chat or anything at this stage, or actually,
Um, I realized that it's 9:30 already. Um, sorry, what was it? It's Brahma. I know Shiva the destroyer, so Brahma,
Vishnu,
Vishnu.
yeah, these are just names to help us to visualize, conceptualize.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, no. I don't think I do have any questions. I'm just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, let it be like that. Because in that inner state, there's no need to question also. Like it's only the experience. We are
Mm,
basically connecting with the experience within us,
mm,
and that's the space. The eventually all the questions will not make much sense anyway, because it's questions are also looping. It's very
mm,
hard when we initially think around it, but like everything is very close to nothing. And if you go the extreme of anything, it is just getting closer to the start of
yeah.
anything, thoughts.
Hey, what are the things that like come into awareness that are just very random, like nothing, nothing like to do in our daily lives or people we know or anything like that, just like a random kind of scenario that comes in. Um, is that our like our subconscious awareness trying to get us to look at the situation and just let it go, or is it really nothing to do with us?
Yeah, so if there is ideas or thoughts, there is no thing which you haven't experienced before, or something. It has some correlation with you as being of. So, say for example, you wouldn't be thinking around a planet which you not thought about, or a star which you haven't heard about. So it's very hard. It's somewhere in our intellectual understanding, because the core of us, the essence of us is just a observer. It's the
Mm,
observer which is just observing the nature without words, which are the as soon as it's starting to word or visualize and all that, it's still an external layer of us on top of the core. So that's where, so if it's all floating in our head, there are some reference point. It might not be very immediate and very core, but it's still there out there in our thought process of somewhere we had mentioned it, we have thought about it, somewhere we have um, or might have some connection which is evolving, and like you thought about food, but now you're thinking about a food truck or somebody
Yeah.
preparing some meal. It might start to look further apart, but it's still a
A
um,
chain.
yeah, chain of which is not consciously aware, but it's still processing unconsciously. Like that's where the dream and all manifest from.
Mm.
But it's still in our own thinking patterns, which yeah, uh, where that essence is, it's even more at that deep observes.
Mm.
It's called. It has three properties. They say there are many properties, but one of the common three properties is Sat Chit Anand. It has that happiness factor, it has that truth factor, it's experiencing everything as it is, and the chit is, it has a state continuation, static nature in it, because it's before time, before, yeah, so there is a lot of element. I won't, let's explore it as gently as possible. I'm trying to, yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
I
a
didn't
lot
want
in
to.
one session. That
Yeah.
was really good, Ashok. Thank you so much. And right at the very beginning, you said meditation is about reducing rather than accumulating. And I haven't quite thought about it like that before. And what is really beautiful is that, which is part of the video that I want to do for you, as a reference. But what I've noticed since that original session that I had with you is that one of the things that's been really awesome is that I am reducing, and in a physical way. So I'm actually moving on things that I've had for decades in
Mm,
my physical life.
life.
And it's so beautiful and it's so freeing. And I know that work that we did previously, that was part of that instigation of all that, although it's been there for some time, but
Yeah.
it actually helped propel that. Propel is actually a good word.
Ah,
Yeah.
ah, ah, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah. We these things, because the lighter we become, the less needs we have, and whether it's thought in our head, in our body, around us, it's start to all connect, and yeah.
Yeah. It's
I'm
beautiful.
really glad for you. Ji.
Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. I'll stop the recording.